Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Spanish Town Mayor warns illegal vending in the old capital to be dealt with once and for all. Calls for a systemic fix to PATH program. And later in sports, Issa Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Championships now underway at the National Stadium. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shane Masters and here are the details. Embarrassed. That is how Mayor of Spanish Town Norman Scott says he feels about the state of much of the infrastructure in the town that once was the capital city of Jamaica. But what will he be doing about it? Krista Campbell has the details.
The frequent state of roads, sidewalks and public spaces in the old capital of Spanish Town in St. Catherine has earned it the unflattering description of the dirtiest parish capital. Newly returned Mayor Norman Scott insists he has a plan to address public cleansing, garbage collection issues, as well as the poor maintenance of drains and roads across the parish. But there have always been complaints about inadequate funds given to local representatives for these kinds of work. The government is banking on the $40 billion shared prosperity through accelerated improvement to our road network SPARK program to help upgrade 2,000 roads across the island.
I listened to the announcements. We are being run by a government of announcement. And until I see documentary evidence of the funds being transferred to the municipal corporation for procurement, I will not speak to them.
However, the mayor did not hold back on what he plans to do about the state of illegal vending in the parish capital.
I plan to meet with the commercial services manager, and we will call those vendors in and we will have a meeting with them and we will give them some ultimatum, because it won't be business as usual going forward. And I speak to the major towns, Linstead, Old Harbour, Bogwalk, and Spanish Town.
As for what he deems a chronic island-wide problem with burial spaces,
we built the Thetford Cemetery. We are far down the wicket in acquiring some more lands to expand the Yorton Cemetery. And I expect that to be done within the next 6 months. We will complete the negotiation, do the acquisition, and that will be another cemetery for the municipalities.
Krista Campbell, TVJ News.
A $2 billion increase, but old systemic problems. School administrators and parents voiced concerns over the program of advancement through health and education PATH during a recent town hall meeting in Mapen, Clarendon. Ramada Lyons reports.
More money, same problems. Though the $10.4 billion increase to support payment of cash grants to PATH beneficiaries is welcomed, there are still concerns. At Simon Infant and Primary, for example, the principal says she foots the expense for delivery of packages.
We have to pay taxes to collect the nutrition products from the schools down here to go up to ours. When they are left at Rock River, I have to collect on my way to work. My other colleague has to collect on her way to work. We are not paid to do that.
Her suggestion?
Contract some persons and assign them to the rural schools and let them come at a time when somebody is there to collect, because it is really outrageous. The children are hungry. If they are hungry, they cannot learn, and we are at a loss in feeding them.
Minister of Labour and Social Security, Pernell Charles Jr., says it's primarily the Education Ministry that operates that part of the feeding program. However, Mr. Charles says,
we intend, in short order, to have meetings with the Ministry of Education and Youth, as well as the Ministry of Health and Wellness. And this is a matter that we will bring up with them. We'll raise the issues as you have, to see how together we can either define a solution or make some changes.
A woman whose 2 children are on PATH questioned the frequency of distribution.
When or will it be possible for PATH to be every month instead of every 2 months?
As we grow the economy, we are going to be able to take on the consideration that you said a while ago of moving by monthly to monthly, if that is what the assessment says we should do. But we can't even think about it until we have the money.
Natisha Bent, guidance counselor for Rock Primary and Infant, says path lists sent to schools do not reflect the number of students that are actually on the program.
If I get a path list with 200 students on it, my school will have at least 300 students on path. How do I account for that 100 students that is not on the path list that is given? We're literally providing food for more students that path is paying for, and it is actually causing an issue for the economy, for the schools.
The minister's response?
What is clear is a lot of these issues they're between ministries. Because we're not the one that pay, we're the one that provide the list. But there's still need for us to reconcile between the two.
The new path allocation represents an increase of $2 billion in the amount of payments. Ramarda Lyons, TVJ News.
There's increased push from stakeholders in the agricultural sector for consultations to be had following the removal of the general consumption tax on raw foods, fruits and vegetables. One such is the Jamaica Agricultural Society, JAS. Details in this report. There continues to be pushback on plans by the government to remove the GCT on raw foods, fruits and vegetables. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark made the announcement of the GCT removal during the opening of the budget debate 1 week ago. Dr. Clark says the decision was taken based on a possible trade barrier from the World Trade Organization, WTO. But that has not gone down well with some players in the agricultural sector. President of the Jamaica Agricultural Society, Lenworth Fulton, is one such individual.
We should have written back to the WTO to tell them that we acknowledge the fault of government protectionism, but we are asking them to delay their action until the 25-26 budget year. And the $2.4 billion that is made from this 25% GCT, I would have pumped it into an agency like AIC to farm an investment for vegetable farmers in particular.
He says despite the stamp duty remaining on those items, it will still be detrimental on local producers.
The good thing is that you might reduce the price of vegetables to consumer, but you might wipe out a large number of self-employed people called farmers. And what do you do with them when you destroy their livelihood? Put them on the PART program, or you let them suffer?
As for those who say the impact will be minuscule, Mr. Fulton provided this response.
In no language, 15% removal is not minuscule with the size of our country. No true analysis was done on the effect of removing GCT from vegetable. It has not been analyzed. So you leave somebody like me, who is the president of JS, whose job is to protect our farmers, to speculate and to look on some possibilities. And that is why I'm still calling for consultation from our minister and the Ministry of Agriculture to tell us the policy tools that they will employ to protect our farmers and to enhance agriculture.
Mayor of Falmouth, Colin Gager, is expressing concern about the migration of homeless people into Trelawny. He says with Falmouth considered a tourist destination and works on the way to beautify the town, this new development is concerning.
A lot of homeless persons is now coming into Falmouth. I don't know why. Yesterday, myself and Sergeant Wallace, we had a long discussion on that, where we went as far as to find a relative of one that is in town. And he operates in a wheelchair, and he does everything in the wheelchair. That can be healthy for the town.
Mr. Gager says plans are being put in place and he has been meeting with various stakeholders to address the issue.
But we are working with the health department too to make sure that everything is done, and if those that need medication that be given. we're also working closely with our poor relief.
And it's time for a break here on the Midday News, but stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. The Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, says it will be commissioning a study to examine the correlation between the stress levels of teachers and their mental and physical well-beings. JTA President Leighton Johnson says since taking office in August last year, he has interacted with the families of 28 teachers who were either seriously ill or had died suddenly. He says because of the high intensity of the job and the deaths seemingly in quick succession, he thought it prudent to conduct a study as a legacy project. The research will be undertaken by former Jamaican educator and author Dr. Sharika Simone. Mr. Johnson, who was speaking today on TVJ's Smart Jamaica program, says the study should commence in August.
This is why we want to commission this study, to move from anecdotes, to have that empirical data, to present to the nation, to make recommendations to the Ministry of Education, to our teachers, to school administrators, to give teachers a strategy how to deal with these situations. And then the Jamaica Teachers Association understands the importance of mental health. And that is why the Jamaica Teachers Association currently has counselors and psychologists on call. Teachers simply need to call the JT, make an appointment, and these professionals are ready, willing, able to assist our teachers.
Residents of Waltham Park, St. Andrew are now breathing a sigh of relief as the main road in the area has been fixed. The residents complained that a 20-minute drive would take them an hour due to the poor road conditions. They also said the area was transformed into a river when it rains. But those issues are now behind them as the road was recently paved.
I believe the concrete is more safer more than the asphalt, because I say a project with them done on the same section and Waltham here out by East Road, and it worked. And it was only for havoc it used to create before. As them do it and the rain fall, it dig up back, and from them do it with the concrete, it is firm.
Otherwise the government still got to spend money every week, every month, every 6 months. Because by do it, concrete road is very good towards what take place right now. Because when I tell you, piece it down the water, and that I see them do. Them concrete it and it work. If you never concrete it, it dig up all 40 times already. So it work. I mean, just give that thanks to the media when they come and catch me a local clippings panic right now. 2 weeks after I see them and them come. So I say it work.
They are now concerned about neighboring communities and the impact the rehabilitation work will have on them.
That's one thing I pray say, too much water not turn them woodpecker. And with that I say, because I know them are going to have a problem if the water turn down. The car road very higher than before, So the highness, you really do nothing, you have to just watch the water where it come. Because I know say, the water will come down. I say from froze the water will come from From where Mullins Road, from the road. So anyhow, you don't control it good. Doing the piece of concrete, so it's good, but the water, it will affect after. So if you just watch and see where I go on.
And it's now time for the Business Minute. The Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, JMEA, has launched the Beyond Labels Building a Stigma-Free Workplace initiative. The project, which is in collaboration with PEPFAR, CDC, UNAIDS, and JN+, aims to implement educational programs addressing HIV awareness, transmission understanding, and prevention methods among JMEA employees and member companies. Executive Director of the JMEA, Kamisha Turner-Blake, says the initiative transcends the specific issues associated with HIV-related stigma and discrimination. Conceptualized in 2023, the project is scheduled to run for 8 months, culminating in August of this year. Further afield, the Bank of Japan increased its key interest rate from negative 0.1% to a range of 0 to 0.1%. It comes as wages have jumped after consumer prices rose. In 2016, the bank cut the rate below zero in an attempt to stimulate the country's stagnating economy. This hike means that there are no longer any countries left with negative interest rates. And that's it for the Business Minute. Time now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley says there will be no new taxes in the 2024 national budget. In her presentation to Parliament, she indicated, however, that there would be a review of the tax structures and increasing access to financing for the private and public sectors. Ms. Mottley says the fiscal package illuminates a future prosperity in which all Barbadians can share. On the international scene, Hong Kong's Legislative Council has passed a new national security law that expands the government's power to crush dissent. The new law, Article 23, targets new measures on treason, espionage, external interference, state secrets, and seditions with penalties to include life sentences. The law was fast-tracked through its final stage by the city's pro-Beijing parliament in less than 2 weeks. Article 23 expands on a controversial national security law earlier imposed by China. And at least 13 miners are trapped in a collapsed gold mine in far eastern Russia. Search and rescue operations are ongoing for the miners who are trapped at a depth of 125 meters or 410 feet via a ventilation shaft. Russia's Ministry of Emergency Situations say communications are being restored and mechanized clearing of the transport slope is being carried out. The incident occurred at one of the largest gold mines in Russia. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Carrie Ann Simpson.
And we head to a quick break. When we come back, Giovanni Dennis will have your midday sports report.